Welcome back to We Can Do This. My name is Jolie, and I come to you every week, Saturdays at 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, to talk about self help topics that I've had experience with in the hopes that with my research and what I know can help you and your loved ones in your life. So, thank you for joining me today, whether you're joining me live or on a replay. I want to ask you to please remember to subscribe and like. Love the thumbs up. And I would love to get some new subscribers. If you know anyone who would benefit from my live streams, please share this with them as I do post it on my Facebook page every week. And appreciate all your support and all your help. So with that being said, I also do give you a disclaimer every week that I am not a medical professional. I am not medically trained. If you hear me talk about a topic on this channel that you feel you would need to learn more about or that you have a concern about, please reach out to your PCP, a psychiatrist, or a therapist, someone who is medically trained to assist you to better help you meet your needs and to feel better about yourself. So with that being said, I was really excited about today's topic because this is something that I've always had the personal question about for my whole life. What is the difference? What is harder to recover from? Is it mental or is it physical exhaustion? Now, what is going on here? How do we handle this battle? And how do we run from actually feeling both of these types of exhaustion? So I think the best way that we can talk about this is to start out by defining exactly what exhaustion is. Now, I think we all know what it is, but we don't know the actual definition of what it is. So exhaustion is where you're barely functioning and you're in a desperate need to reboot, and please note that we need to understand that not all exhaustion is created equal. And that's kind of where this mental versus physical, conversation has come up with me in the past, because they're kind of lumped together, but, mental exhaustion, that's really when your thoughts are just muddled, everything just kind of slows down. Whereas physical exhaustion is exactly what it is. Physical. You feel like the weight of everything is on you, the muscle aches, whatever, they're very different and they have very different causes. And they have very different resolutions to handling them. But you're going to be interested to find out what exactly is harder to recover from, mental or physical. So stay tuned and hang in there for my summary. So let's first talk about mental exhaustion. Now, this is one that I can relate to more than physical because I am an office worker. I have been one for over 30 years. And I can relate to being exhausted from a mental standpoint. This is where your head, your cognitive part of you, just head to toe slows you down. You just basically have a total system crash. If your mind was, your cognitive, if that's the equivalent of computer software, you just have a total system crash because you're overloaded. The one thing about mental is that it's not always obvious. It can be very, very sneaky. You just may catch yourself, and I do this a lot, where I catch myself just staring blankly at a screen. Your memory just kind of leaves you, and you're just kind of there. And the small things that you need to decide seem like they are the largest mountains in the world to climb. And decision making, that just seems unsurmountable and unbelievably challenging. I guess the best way for me to put it is in the entertainment industry. there is a term that's called always on. And what that means, and I equate this to the mental exhaustion because I'm like this. Whenever I'm at work, I'm on. You know, I have a very high expectation of me no matter where I've been. And once I meet that expectation, I am pushed to go higher. And that's kind of my downfall, but I'm always on. You always have to be your best. And that's really, really tough. You know, I'm always on whether I'm at work, I'm always on whether I'm at home. I have to be on whether I'm on with friends. It's an expectation that no matter where I am, no matter what I do, you always feel like you're in the spotlight no matter where you are. You know, and that is very draining. You know, that's the way to become overloaded. Your memory is just like an unsharpened pencil. It's very, very dull. You can't focus. You get very, very irritable, almost to the point where it's biting. And you become this unlively potato at the drop of a hat, that you're just a lump. That's the best way I can describe mental exhaustion is, especially the way that I've experienced it. And please put yourself in these shoes. You know, what have you experienced with mental exhaustion? You know, how did you feel? How did you get there? How did you recognize it? So now let's go on the flip side. Let's talk about physical exhaustion. Now, this is when your body has just had enough. It just says, I'm done. I'm shutting down. I need some serious downtime. You know, and let's face it, physical exhaustion is much easier to identify rather than the sneakiness of mental exhaustion is. You know, whenever you're physically exhausted, you're achy. You know, your energy just tanks. You're yawning. You know, simple things, once again, are like climbing that, like Mount Fuji. You know, your body's at a point where it just hates you. It's just achy. It's overloaded. You haven't been able to sleep right. You know, you're maybe eating junk food and maybe have some medical issues going on. You will crash and burn. You'll crash and burn with both. But when we're talking about physical, you will for sure crash and burn. You know, you're going to get sicker easier because you're so run down. You have slow reactions, which is very dangerous, which we're going to talk a little more about. Your system has totally crashed, and it affects both your metabolism and your hormones. And which one of us doesn't need to not do that? We do not want to deal with that. And we don't want to be hurting that balance that we have in our life. And it's going to have us sputter to an absolute stop. It can lead to all kinds of different health issues. It can lead to injuries, actual injuries, chronic fatigue syndrome. We have talked about that before. It could lead to heart issues. There's many different things it could lead to. So now that we've defined exhaustion, we've looked at mental, we've looked at physical, and it's kind of obvious what they are, but I think we needed to delve into it a little bit deeper. So what about comparing mental to physical? So both are different. They're very different types, but typically, you know, I think we look at them as like a package because they're both types of exhaustion. But mental exhaustion is more of a cognitive thing. It's a cognitive imbalance, and it's a complete change. We need to have a complete change of scenery and activity to change it. Whereas physical, it's when you feel like someone just stuck a straw into you and it just sucked every piece of life out of you, and your muscles are just so overly fatigued. And it's where you just need good old R&R. You need the rest, you need the relaxation, and you need to step back and keep it simple. Now, let's face it, and we've talked about it, there are triggers to the mental being a more sneaky way, whereas the physical is a much more honest, a much more clarified way of seeing it. But mental is brought on by stress that's just been constant on us for an extended period of time. Decision fatigue. How many of us in today's life, especially you parents, I salute you all. Decision fatigue. That's a big thing. We are called to make decisions in every aspect of our lives, every single minute of every day. Information overload. That's where I'm at right now, being at my new company. I am learning so much every day, and I feel like it is just a weight on my head every day that I have to deal with. Now, with the physical being more obvious, you have the signs that your body is screaming at you. Both types are very different. The mental will leave you staring at a screen and have that blank deer in a headlight looks face on you, whereas physical is more of an everything is a climbing a mountain physically kind of a thing. And we're going to talk about this here, but believe it or not, they work hand in hand, even though they're very different types. They will work together to create a perfect storm of exhaustion and fatigue in you. And now this was really interesting because it never really hit me that they can both work together. So mental fatigue, believe it or not, can lead to physical issues. Now, I never thought of this, but here's where it happens. When you're physically drained, you feel your muscles tense. How many of us don't get headaches? We just feel physically drained. You're just so drained up here, you just don't even want to move. Even though it's not a physical thing, mental can affect you in that way. Whereas on the different end of the spectrum, physical can trigger mental exhaustion. You can have bad concentration, got them mood swings, and you have no motivation to do anything. It is like a vicious cycle. And in today's work and way of life that we are all experiencing, no matter what your circumstances is, we can all relate. And just know that one can affect the other. We need to look at that closely because, okay, if you identify you are really, really mentally exhausted, I will bet you that you are also seeing some physical results of that as well. And the exact opposite. If you're physically drained, how many times have you been physically drained and you just can't concentrate on anything because the exhaustion just has you in its grips? So what can we do to break this cycle? We need to address both types of exhaustion with coping strategies and some other ways of treatment. So when it comes to mental, what we need to do, and this is easier said than done, and believe me, I am not preaching about this because I am a big problem. I have a big problem with some of this stuff, so I'm not preaching at you. I am right here with you. When it comes to mental, change your lifestyle. Okay, now that's not easy to do. Let's face it, we all have our routines. We're all in our daily life, so I get that. But in my case, and I'm going to be I'm my own worst enemy, and I've told you that, and I always believe that. But one thing I tend to do is I have a very strong work ethic, but the problem is I take it to the extreme to where I sacrifice myself and those around me in order to be that person at work. I know there's a lot expected of me, and I never like to only meet those challenges. I like to go above and beyond them. That has been detrimental to me many times in life, and it's getting to that point now. But I digress. Another thing you can do is get organized. Organize your life. Declutter. Set yourself up with a structured day. Now, if you have children, I get it. But you can get a sense of structure with that as well, because that's what children need too. We all need a sense of structure. We have a comfort level whenever we're there. And most of all, we need to set those boundaries, say no, but not only say it, stick to it. I get it. I don't say no to anybody. I hate it because when you say no, you feel like you're hurting people you love and care about. You feel like you're not meeting up to expectations. Phooey. Phooey on that. You need to recharge, because if you can't be the best that you can be, you're not going to help anybody else. In the long run, it's going to be only detrimental to you. And then no one's going to benefit from the great person that you are and the healthy individual you need to be and deserve to be. So we need to do whatever we can. What can you figure out you need to do mentally? Is it meditation? Is it journaling? Is it a hobby? But whatever it is, you choose to do and you find what it is helps you. It can be anything that is unrelated to what's causing you the stress or the overload that you're feeling. It takes you out of that environment so that you're not feeling it anymore and you get the break that you need from it. Now, with physical, don't ignore what your body is saying to you. When your body is telling you things, and we all love to ignore it, but what your body is telling you is sending you a very, very strong signal. It's saying, I'm hurting. Listen to it. Don't ignore it. Don't put it off. Don't step back. Don't not step back. You need to rest, relax, sleep, get some more rest. Don't shove junk food down your throat. That's just going to make things worse. Keep it healthy. Keep it real, but refocus on it, because your body does not, when it's sending you a signal, there's a darn good reason that it's sending you a signal. So, and wrapping this all up. So we got mental. That's the first. That is cognitive. It's emotional. And can sneak it, and it will sneak up on you. Whereas the physical, it's more obvious, it's more immediate, and you pretty much understand why you're at where you're at. The main thing we need to do is, no matter which one it is to recognize it and deal with it. This is critical for both types of exhaustion. Don't keep pushing it down. Don't ignore it. I promise you, it is going to build up like the powder keg I became years ago. It will build up. You will crash and burn. It will just be a matter of time. And the last thing you want to do is burn out, because you're not going to help yourself. You're not going to help anybody else. It's all about finding the balance in life. And it's hard to find these days with everything coming at us right and left and fast and furious. It's hard. So the bottom line is, which one is it harder to recover from? And I've asked this question so many times of so many people in life. I always got the different answer, but now I know why. Because it depends on the individual. It depends on the life that you lead, and it depends on who you are. In my case, it's definitely mental, but I will have an office job. If you work an outside job, whether it's construction or something that's a lot more physical, you will give an opposite answer from what I live. It's not a cut and dried answer. We can all relate to both types of exhaustion, but it will be unique and different for all of us. There isn't one solid answer. It just depends on you and what you do in your daily life. And we do have tools available. We need to remember that no matter what it is you find, R&R, whether it's mindfulness, whether it's walking, whether it's whatever it is, a hobby, we need to remember what it all comes down to is we need to find that moment again where we can appreciate the quiet and the peaceful moments. Because let's face it, in the world today and the fast-paced environment we're all in, you can get caught up in it and it will drag you along and it will suck you in and take you down quicker than we realize or know. We need to find those private, personal, quiet moments to help us heal from them. And remember, you don't have to do it alone. Time and time and time again, I press this home. Get professional help. And there is no excuse for not being able to find help these days or to find it at your convenience because it's all over the internet. You can find all kinds of therapy and doctors and support out there that you can join, that you can reach out to find that balance. You need to find, no matter what type of it, whether it's mental or physical exhaustion, it doesn't matter which, the help is out there. Reach out for it. Don't be ashamed. We all need help at one point or another. Some people just get bombarded and, sucked down by that feeling of, I can do it. I can take care of myself. Sometimes we can't. And then you need to admit it. Like they say, admitting it is the first step to healing. Same thing with this. Admit it, help yourself, and reach out if you need it. Both types of exhaustion are devastating, and they can be, and one can affect the other. We need to make sure we're alert, we notice them, and realize that we do have things we can do to help resolve the things that we're seeing, the things that we're feeling. So there you have it. Mental versus physical. That's two titans that affect all of us. So there's my 2 cents for the week. Hope that helped you. I enjoyed bringing it to you. So please remember, subscribe and save. And I always give you a teaser. So I'm going to tell you what my teaser is for next week because I get really annoyed when people are embarrassed about how old they are. I'm 58. I really don't care. I don't feel like I'm 58. Some days I do. I'm not ashamed of it. I've worked really hard my entire life and I've earned being here. And I've learned a lot over these 58 years. So next week, I'm going to talk to you about lessons I've learned over the past 58 years. So I would love it if you join me next week, 4:00 Eastern Standard Time Saturday. If you can't, I'm always available on the replay. Check it out. Join me. And if you subscribe, you know when I have broadcasted. It'll be a reminder for you if you can't watch live to at least go in and watch the replay. So as I do every week, I do my ending. And this week, I would like to dedicate my show to 2 very important women in my life. Well, we're going to make it 3. Okay, 4. My mom and my sister, who have known me since day one and have always appreciated me, have always supported me, no matter how much of a bonehead decision I've made or things I've done. But I want to dedicate it also to 2 other women in my life who have been very important to me over the years. Both of them are my best friends. Rachel, who I hooked up with this week after 15 years of not seeing her. It was amazing. It was wonderful to see her. She is still as beautiful and as wonderful and caring as I remember her to be. She was my best friend growing up. I miss her dearly. And it was great seeing her again. And the other one is Tina, who is my best friend now. She has been for over 20 years. We have been there for each other through thick and thin. Have supported each other. And these women have been some of the titans in my life who have kept me going and have given me the strength to keep going. So this show is for you. So in ending today, I give this to you. We can do this. We got this. I can and I will. You can too. I believe in you. If I didn't believe in you, I wouldn't be doing these broadcasts. Believe in yourself. You're worth it, and you can do it. So until next time, my friends, take care. God bless. And above all, have a great weekend. Have a great week next week. Stay safe. And remember to join me next week. So until next time,